The Krel Dominion had conquered thousands of worlds, each more baffling and ridiculous than the last. They'd seen species that hid in the darkest corners of their planets, refusing to come out until the Krel crushed their armies. They'd analyzed species that believed they were immortal, only to vaporize them with a single well-aimed blast. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared them for humanity. As the Resolute continued its mission to intercept the slaver ship, the crew were blissfully unaware of the Dominion cruiser hidden in the shadow of the pulsar. Inside the bridge, Captain Eva Bell adjusted her uniform, her gaze fixed on the swirling lights of the nav console. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Cole, his face illuminated by the soft glow of his console, reported, "Multiple energy readings, sir, but all negative." Captain Bell nodded, her eyes never leaving the main view screen. "Keep me posted." Meanwhile, deep within the bowels of the Krel ship, the Dominion scientists observed the readings on their primary screen, their faces ashen. One of them, a hulking brute with skin like polished obsidian, slammed his fist on the console, making the readings jump. "This defies the very laws of physics," he roared, his voice echoing with disbelief. "Such raw power, such focused intent. It's as if they're broadcasting on multiple frequencies simultaneously, masking their true power." His claws digging into his palms, he continued, "We have to report this to the Chancellor. No species we've encountered comes close to matching this energy signature. Not even the Saurians or the Vitoshka. These humans are unlike anything we've ever seen." A slender Krel with skin like burnished copper and eyes that glowed like molten gold added, "And their ship, it appears to be emitting a continuous stream of subsonic pulses, almost as if it's alive. We've never encountered a vessel that mimics organic life forms. Could this be some form of defense mechanism?" The scientists continued to bombard the Resolute with scans, each one returning data that shattered their understanding of physics and technology. On the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Bell felt a strange sense of foreboding wash over her. The ship's systems, normally silent hums, were now blaring alarms. She turned to Cole, her voice tight. "Report." Cole's face was grim. "Multiple energy surges, ma'am, and our sensors are overloading. I'm picking up a Krel Dominion cruiser just outside weapons range. They've shielded themselves against our long-range scanners. Looks like they're cloaking their ship as well." Just then, the view screen exploded with light as the Dominion cruiser emerged from cloak. A massive Krel warship, its hull bristling with weapons, loomed before them. The Krel captain's voice boomed through the comm system. "Humans, submit your weapons and your ship will be added to the Krel Dominion. Resistance is futile." Captain Bell met his gaze, her jaw set in determination. "Never." As the Dominion cruiser unleashed a barrage of plasma bolts, the Resolute shuddered, its shields flickering like a candle in the wind. "All hands to battle stations," Bell ordered, her voice ringing with authority. "Helm, take evasive action. Weapons, return fire. We may not know their strength, but we fight as if they're the strongest enemy we've ever faced." In the Krel Dominion cruiser, the scientists watched in horror as the human ship, far weaker than they anticipated, managed to dodge their initial attack. One of them, his voice trembling, whispered, They're adapting to our attacks. Their ship is reacting organically to our weapons fire." Another scientist, his face drained of color, stammered, "But how? How can a vessel react without intelligent control? It's impossible." And so the battle raged, with the Krel Dominion cruiser slowly realizing that it wasn't facing just any human vessel, but a machine of living metal, a creature of pure war instinct, an evolution of violence. As the night wore on, the Dominion cruiser took more and more damage, its shields failing, its hull breached. Finally, the captain ordered a retreat, his face a mask of grudging respect. "We underestimated these humans," he admitted, his voice hoarse. "Their ship is not merely a vessel, it's a weapon, a predator in itself." Back on the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Bell watched the Dominion cruiser disappear into the darkness, her face grim. She knew that the Krel Dominion, with their advanced technology and ruthless efficiency, would not stand down easily. "Prepare for their return," she ordered, her voice leaving no doubt that the battle was far from over. "And send a message to Earth Command. We need reinforcements. Whatever force we're facing here, they're unlike anything we've ever encountered. I repeat, whatever force we're facing is unlike anything we've ever seen before. The Krel, an insectoid alien race with a penchant for psychic abilities and cybernetics, have built a formidable reputation throughout the galaxy as ruthless mercenaries and explorers. But even they were unprepared for what they found on this forsaken rock. When the Krel arrived, they expected to find fragile alloys, predictable reactor cores, and low-grade weapons. Instead, the sensor readouts show armor plating far denser than neutron-forged steel, energy reactors pulsing at outputs they thought impossible for such a young species, and weapons arrays designed with brutal elegance. Each weapon system is redundantly shielded. Each engine is reinforced. The lead scientist whispers nervously, "They built this for a war of extinction." Their scanners then pick up traces of the native life forms. The Krel can't believe their luck. Just as their sensors indicate that they've reached the central databanks, the ship shudders violently as if something massive has just landed nearby. The ground tremors, lights flicker, and the air crackles with energy as the Krel are suddenly bathed in the eerie glow of an energy shield that has just activated around the facility. A deep voice echoes in their minds. "Trespassers who come seeking knowledge and power, beware, for this place holds secrets that will rend your mind and shatter your soul." The cruel, undeterred, send in their best and brightest to retrieve the data. They're going to need more than bright minds, however, because this place is a death trap. Crumbling statues of nightmarish creatures lurk at the end of the corridors, watching with empty sockets where the light doesn't reach. And the deeper they go, the more unstable the very fabric of reality seems to become. But the cruel are almost at the core now. The voice grows louder, more insistent, echoing with power and rage. It tells them of an ancient evil that slumbers here, of how its minions guard the entrance to the chamber where the data resides. But it also warns them that if they can bring themselves to destroy the device in the center of the room, the gateway to the chamber will open. What will the Kril do? Will they heed the warnings, or are they too greedy to resist the temptation of forbidden knowledge? You decide in the comments below. And thank you for watching. When alien scanners probe the crew compartments, they expect to see calm neurons, controlled biology, routine functions like any other civilized species. What they see instead is pure, unfiltered human willpower, stress levels spiking, yet performance improving under pressure, fear responses, but tied directly into stronger reflexes and faster decisions, brain activity jumping wildly, yet finding creative solutions instantly. The Krel had studied thousands of species, but never one where fear made them stronger, not weaker. One technician shakes his head. They thrive under conditions that cripple any other life form. They are chaos incarnate. The captain leans back, letting out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. That's not entirely accurate, though I suppose it depends on your point of view. We do have a tendency to perform better when we're scared out of our wits, when we're pushed to the edge. When there's nothing left to lose, we become, for lack of a better term, stronger. But at what cost? The first officer looks out at the carnage of their latest battle, ships and bodies littering the void. How many of us have to die before we find a better way? A way that doesn't involve sending our best and brightest to their graves in droves? We already have, the captain says quietly, eyes fixed on the swirling nebula beyond the viewport. And I honestly don't think any of us expected it to be easy. Do you really think that the Krel would have sent a distress call if they had a choice? That they wouldn't rather die than submit to an alliance with us? You have to understand that they've been fighting for their very survival for decades. Every decision, every action is driven by that single-minded focus. We can't truly know what it's like until we've walked a mile in their shoes. The first officer turns to face him, eyes blazing with frustration. Are you suggesting that we should just let them kill us all? That we deserve this because we haven't earned the right to survive? No, I'm saying that we understand why they fight so desperately, and that their strength should not be underestimated simply because we've managed to push them into a corner. The fact that they are still standing after all we've thrown at them speaks volumes about their tenacity, their will to live. And it's that, their sheer willpower to survive, that makes them so dangerous, so unpredictable. Because when you're dealing with an enemy that's backed into a corner, that has nothing left to lose, they become a force of nature, an unstoppable, unhinged force that will stop at nothing to survive. We've seen this story before. A lone human ship, the last of its kind, fleeing from an entire fleet of enemy warships. It's a hopeless situation. The odds are overwhelmingly against the human ship. But then comes the weapons bay. The Krel scientists freeze. They've captured hundreds of human ships before, but never one like this. This vessel is armed with weapons designed not for intimidation, not for defense, but for annihilation. Kinetic railguns capable of piercing planetary shields are lined along the walls. In the center, a massive array of nuclear warheads, enough to level entire cities, are stacked to the ceiling. But those weapons are nothing compared to what else this ship has. For hidden in the data, buried deep within the ship's weapon systems, are experimental gravity weapons capable of bending space-time itself. Weapons so terrible they're not even supposed to exist. One alien stammers, "The humans do not prepare for victory. They prepare to make sure no enemy survives to boast about defeating them." Suddenly, the laughter on the Krel bridge goes silent. The captain turns, his face pale, his eyes wide with dawning horror. He didn't order this action. He didn't give the command to fire. Someone else did. Someone who isn't here right now. The humans have left behind their last line of defense, a single warship armed to the teeth with weapons capable of ending entire civilizations. A warship without a crew. What was once a desperate gamble has now become a terrifying threat. The Krels didn't just find a ghost ship. They found a ghost fleet. And if they don't get out of here, they're going to be the ones who die. This is the story of the Spree. A ship so deadly it kills everyone who tries to use it, including its own crew. And you won't believe the secret behind its terrifying new weapon. This is our channel. And if you want to help us make the best science videos in the galaxy, you can join us on a crowdfunding platform. They're strong, durable, unpredictable, and relentless. They have weapons that can level mountains and firepower that can destroy planets. Humanity's greatest strength is its limitless capacity for innovation. When the going gets tough, humans get going. They will never surrender. They will never give up. This is a story of an alien race that learned this lesson the hard way. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll be exploring another tale from the amazing world of human fiction, where our brave heroes use their ingenuity and grit to save the day. So let's dive in and see how this one plays out. The Krel Dominion battleship was a marvel of alien engineering. Its hull was a masterpiece of biomechanical design, blending seamlessly the organic with the technological. Powered by a core of condensed antimatter, it could traverse the cosmos at an astonishing pace, leaving a trail of shimmering light in its wake. The ship was a testament to the Krel's centuries of technological advancement. On board were the latest generation of the Krels, a race renowned throughout the galaxy for their strength, durability, intelligence, and ruthlessness. These Krels were warriors through and through, bred for combat and conquest. They were 6.5 feet tall, their bodies a tapestry of chitinous armor plates that shimmered like oil on water, except where those armor plates met was a study in sharp angles, a stark contrast to the smooth exterior. Those joints were crenellations in their armor, natural battlements that gave them a formidable appearance, like a walking fortress. Now these creatures weren't just physically imposing. Their intellect was as sharp as their weaponry. They were strategists who planned their battles meticulously, their tactics as intricate as a spider's web. And yet there was an arrogance about them, a belief in their own superiority that bordered on the delusional. To them, other races were mere pawns in their grand game, playthings to be manipulated and discarded at their whim. However, today, the Krel were not engaged in their usual conquest or domination. They were on a mission of exploration, charting uncharted territories, seeking new worlds to add to their master's collection. As their ship hurtled through the vast expanse of space, their sensors picked up a faint signal, a beacon from a planet below. It was an invitation of sorts, an open door to a potential new conquest. The Krells didn't need much convincing. They descended upon the planet with the grace of a hawk eyeing its prey, unaware of the storm that awaited them. Humans have a rich history, a tapestry woven with threads of courage, innovation, and sheer willpower. Throughout the ages, they have faced countless challenges, from natural disasters to existential threats. In each instance, they have shown an uncanny ability to adapt, to innovate, and to survive. This inherent tenacity is what the Krells were about to learn the hard way. The Krell's first contact with humanity was far from diplomatic. It was a hostile takeover, a show of force meant to intimidate and subjugate. But what the Krells lacked in subtlety, they made up for in ferocity. Their weapons were a spectacle of advanced technology, capable of reducing entire cities to rubble with a single strike. The Krells attacked with the force of a raging torrent, but as is often the case with overwhelming forces, their very strength became their undoing. You see, the Krell's strength lay in their overwhelming power, their ability to strike fast and strike hard. However, against the humans, this proved to be a double-edged sword. While it intimidated lesser races, it was a fire that fueled the human spirit. Faced with such overwhelming odds, humans were pushed to the brink, forced to utilize every bit of their ingenuity, every fraction of their resources. This dire situation became the crucible in which human potential was forged. They fought back, not with the same brute force, but with strategy, innovation, and sheer determination. The humans fought not just to win, but to survive, a testament to the indomitable spirit that defines our species. As the battle raged on, the cracks began to show in the Krell's armor. Their arrogance was their undoing, their belief in their own superiority blinding them to the very real threat before them. With each passing moment, the Krells found themselves in a precarious position, their advanced technology failing against the human will. The tide of the battle turned not because the humans overpowered the Krells, but because the Krell's overconfidence led to their downfall. They had treated every other race with disdain, every other species beneath their notice. But humanity was different. The humans forced them to adapt, to innovate, to fight for every inch. And in doing so, the Krells found themselves trapped in a quagmire of their own making. Now, you might think that this is where the humans triumphed, where they achieved an earth-shattering victory against all odds. But the story doesn't end there. The human victory wasn't about brute strength or overwhelming firepower. It was a victory of strategy, of wit, and of pure grit. The humans showed the Krells that they may have underestimated their adversary, but it wasn't a simple defeat. It was a lesson in humility, a crash course in understanding that not all battles are won by the strongest, but by the most adaptable, the most ingenious, and the most resilient. And this realization struck the Krells like a meteor, shattering their arrogance and replacing it with something they had never known: fear. Fear is a powerful motivator, an emotion that can paralyze the strongest will, shake the most steadfast resolve. It's a sensation that can bring a warrior to his knees, stripping away his bravado, exposing the vulnerability that lies beneath. In the annals of the Krells, there had never been a record of their warriors feeling this way, not in their countless battles, not against their numerous foes. But here they were, the mighty Krells, brought low by a species that, until this moment, they had considered beneath their notice, the humans. In the face of such an unprecedented emotion, the Krell captain made a decision that would echo throughout his ship, a decision born out of fear and respect. He ordered a retreat, a full withdrawal from the conflict. It was a move unheard of in Krell history, a testament to the gravity of the situation. The captain was not afraid to admit defeat, to turn tail and run from a battle that had become untenable. But this wasn't just a retreat. It was a strategic move, a calculated decision to live to fight another day. It was a recognition of the enemy's strength, an acknowledgement of their own limitations. It was a display of tactical brilliance, a testament to the captain's years of training and experience. As the Krells retreated, they did so in silence, the cacophony of battle replaced by the deafening hum of their engines as they fled. It was a sight that was both eerie and humbling, the mighty Krell Dominion warships retreating before them. The humans, the Krells, had tasted defeat in a battle they had thought to be a simple conquest. It was a bitter pill to swallow, but one they had to face. The captain shut down the scanners, ordering, "Delete all records. We were never here." His voice shook. "Do not provoke this species." The order was clear, concise, and absolute. There was no room for debate, no allowance for questions. The Krells had encountered an enemy unlike any they had ever faced, an enemy that had not just challenged their strength but had shaken their very core. As the Krells retreated into the vastness of space, they carried with them a newfound respect for the species they had so casually dismissed. The humans had shown them that size and strength were not everything, that intelligence and adaptability were equally important. The Krells were a species that prided itself on its knowledge, its advanced technology, its prowess in battle. But against the humans, they had been brought to their knees. They had been forced to confront the limits of their abilities, the boundaries of their knowledge, and in doing so, they had discovered that they had much to learn. The story of the Krell and the humans is not just a tale of two species from different worlds. It's a story of pride, of prejudice, of fear, and ultimately of respect. The Krells were a species that believed itself to be superior, that saw other races as inferior. They approached the humans with this belief firmly entrenched, only to be disabused of it in the most spectacular fashion. The humans were not intimidated by the Krell's advanced technology, their imposing stature, or their reputation for ruthlessness. They fought back, not with the same weapons, but with the same tenacity that has always defined our species. And so it came to pass that the mighty Krell Dominion, a species that had conquered countless worlds, had been humbled by a species that had barely begun to explore its own solar system. The Krells left the human world as they had come, in silence, their arrogance stripped away, replaced by a newfound respect and a healthy dose of fear. They had stared into the heart of a human warship, and for the first time in their empire's proud history, they felt fear. What makes humans dangerous is not just their weapons, nor their technology. It is their resilience, their creativity, their refusal to surrender, even when logic says they should. If you've made it this far, thank you for joining us on this journey through the realms of science fiction and human ingenuity. We hope you enjoyed this tale as much as we enjoyed bringing it to life. But our stories don't end here. We invite you to become part of our universe. Subscribe to our channel and never miss out on new tales that push the boundaries of imagination and explore the depths of human potential. And if you want to continue exploring the world of human vs. alien encounters, check out the series. Until next time, keep looking up. Thank you for watching.